What's up everyone, Art with Overtake, and today we have a VA STI in the shop, and I'm about ready to install one of the most crucial components when first tuning your car, the Overtake 3-port boost control solenoid. This is one of those items that any tuner is going to recommend right away when you start raising the power levels and boost in your car. So whenever you're modifying the engine, you're going to want to start with a good 3-port boost controller. You don't take my word for it, talk to your tuner about that. What we're going to do is unbox it, see what's inside. You should see the package by card, some packaging material, the 3-port solenoid itself, some hose, and mounting brackets. You're going to notice that this kit comes with 2 brackets. You're going to want to grab the one that looks like this for the VA STI install. And this is really easy. Just line it up with the solenoid and sink these bolts into it. The really nice thing about the 08 to 21 STI fitment is the OEM 2-port boost controller is right front and center under this cover here. So we're going to go through the step-by-step of taking this apart and then installing our 3-port, showing you where it mounts right there and how to plug everything in. Let's start with removing the bolts on the actual cover. There's going to be one back here that's a 12 mil, and then one front and center that's a 10. You're going to see a third back here that holds the actual 2-port boost controller, so we'll get that off later. You at home don't necessarily need to take this bracket off of the car, but I figured it'd be a little easier to show you how our 3-port goes onto here. You can see the bracket aligns with that bolt hole, and then you just use the bolt that came on the bracket to tighten it up. So what we end up is a really nice OEM-like fitment, and it gives you easy access to the boost control solenoid if you need to do anything with it. Before we install the bracket on the car, I want to go identify what hoses we're going to need to remove and replace with a supplied hose kit, and then cut them to length before we install the bracket with the 3-port, connect it all together. As the name implies, the OEM 2-port solenoid has 2 ports on it, which means 2 hoses, one that tees off that we'll get to. But the first one I'm going to focus on is this one front and center that connects to the turbo inlet. So I'm going to remove that. One thing you're going to notice is the diameter of the supplied hose is significantly smaller than the turbo inlet. What you're going to do is on the other hose that you took off, remove the little adapter piece, and then just flip that and integrate it into the turbo inlet hose. Since the 3-port is going to be located right on top of the manifold, the hose length does not need to be that long, even though we supply you with 6 feet of it. So what I'm going to do here is just cut this into thirds, and this could be approximate since you're going to cut a lot more off. But then once you have those 3 pieces, just attach one of them to that connector. And for now, you're done with the turbo inlet hose. Next, we're going to take a look at this other hose that was coming off the OEM 2-port. If you look down in there, it tees off. One goes to a nipple on the compressor housing on the turbocharger. The other one goes to the internal wastegate. What we're going to do is remove that tee and then route individual hoses to them. So the 2 that we have left over are going to end up in there, and then they're going to connect up to our 3-port boost controller. Now we're at a point where we can reinstall the bracket and the 3-port, and while we have it mocked up, we can figure out where all the hoses go. The gist of it is the turbo inlet is going to be a recirc going to port 1, which is going to be this guy. Then number 2 is going to be to the wastegate, which is right here. And number 3 is going to be your boost source on the turbo, just like that. With all the hose routing figured out, the last thing you need to do before installing is just connect the plug and play connector. Really easy, and then fish the bracket back into place. Well, there you go. That's it for the Overtake 3-port boost control solenoid. Overall, the install was fairly easy. Now, the one thing I need to caution you with is this is one of those items that does require tuning. So if you're going to be installing it, make sure you're either at your tuner or have them send you a base map so you can safely drive it over there. Now, if you guys are interested in this piece, we're going to put a link for it in the description. You can check it out and pick it up there. And otherwise, please like this video, subscribe to our page, and help us out by following us on all our social media at Overtake USA.
Oh.